your biggest fear is going to be you got to jump. He said, you can't think about it. He said, it's got to go. He said, if you think about it, you're not going to do it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. It's your host, Ryan Deemer, yet again. Today, we're talking with a gentleman named Jeremy Freyer. He's down in Rison, Arkansas. He's been in business for about 4 years now. He's got a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful young children. And just like all of you out there listening to this, man, he's got to hustle and grind every day. He's got to do the tasks that require it. He's got a couple guys working with him, and we're going to dig into the meat and potatoes of how he's operating his business, the journey he took to get to where he's at, and maybe discuss a few of the goals he has to get where he wants to go. Before I introduce Jeremy to the show, I do want to remind all of you, though, that skidsteernation.com is your preferred vendor for high-quality American-made skid steer attachments. So if you are out doing projects or you're getting ready to bid and quote something new, and you don't quite have the right tool or you need to replace one that you've had for years, visit skidsteernation.com. Check out our collection of all of our attachments, from buckets and graders to augers and trenchers to telescoping booms, 4-in-1 buckets, tree pullers, stump grinders. They're all there. skidsteernation.com. All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and being here today.
No, it ain't no problem. I'm here.
Yeah. So Rison, Arkansas, like in correlation to, I guess, Little Rock is really the only landmark I'm aware of in the state. Where are you at compared to that?
Well, I'm about 50. You ever heard of Pine Bluff?
Is Pine Bluff, is that down south?
It's about 45 minutes south of Pine Bluff, but I'm another 15 minutes south of Pine Bluff. So
okay. And then where's Bull Shoals at compared to you?
Oh, that's in Missouri.
Oh, it is.
Well, I say that.
I have friends that want me to go down there. They want me to go down there and do scuba diving with them, and they always tell me it's in Arkansas. So I've never looked it up.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No big deal, man. So yeah, your company, I love that you just named it Jeremy's Excavation. I mean, simple.
Yeah. I just tried to keep it simple, and I was kind of hesitant on, what I wanted to name it. So I just come up with that and went with it.
I like it. And then you got started back in 2019, right before COVID?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we started up then and been on the roll since. So
nice. So before that, I think you told me you were in like an industrial mechanic.
Correct. I've been in industrial maintenance my whole life. My dad was mechanic and electrician, and I kind of followed his trade until I bought an excavator, and then I kind of went my own route.
What pushed you, or what pulled you into buying an excavator and starting this?
I had a friend down here that had one. He had a small Mini X, and then we talked about going in business together to, try to work together. And so I bought my first Mini X, and then kind of went from there.
How did you promote that when you first bought that Mini X? Like, I'm assuming just like most guys, you were willing to do anything and everything.
Yeah, we did a lot. We still do a lot. I don't turn anything down. So the Mini X, most of my stuff, my advertising and everything comes off Facebook.
Does it? And was that the same back in 2019 also?
Yes.
Very nice, man. So what was your first job you got when you started the business?
Well, me and my buddy went down there and filled in a swimming pool. Okay. That was one of the first ones I was on.
Yeah. And then how did you feel after doing that? Like, was it just like a rush? Like, yep, this is exactly what I want to do?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Nice. It was exciting, just to run a machine and my own piece of equipment. So
okay. Then when COVID hit back in 2020, were you really nervous about what the outcome was going to be and where you were going to be at and how you're going to weather that storm?
Yes, I was pretty nervous because everybody was shutting down and businesses were shutting down, and it kind of messed up everything. So a lot of people were trying to save money and not spend money, and I was pretty nervous about it.
And then did you see a downtick in 2020, or did you see an uptick?
I don't guess necessarily it went down any. I mean, I think it stayed the same. I still had some customers that always call me, and, some people always had something going on somewhere. So, yeah.
And then in what part of 2020 during that whole pandemic did you say, okay, maybe this isn't something I really need to worry about for my business?
It was a few months after COVID hit. and I was still kind of going, so I wasn't really too worried about it a couple of months probably after COVID hit, but I was still kind of nervous a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but
I think we were all nervous. I mean, it's
oh yeah,
we get thrown all over the media that there's this pandemic and everyone's going to die and
yeah,
shelter in home, and we're like, wait a minute.
yeah.
So
Correct.
I mean, on a personal level, in addition to business level, you're like, what is this? What can we expect? How do we avoid it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I started Skid Steer Nation in 2020 during COVID because I had taken a break from entrepreneurship for a little while and got laid off. They did a top down layoff from the president of the company all through that, just because they wanted to get as lean as possible.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, now's the time to start my business, and I've got nobody yelling at me to go get a job or figure out what's next. Everyone's sitting at home. So to me, COVID was a blessing on a professional level. And then the market, like we started selling skid steer attachments, and like everybody and their brother was calling with all this work they had lined up because everybody was sitting at home and they were just staring at their yard or staring at their property. And they're like, well, I got time to get this done now.
Yeah.
And it almost turned in like for the excavation industry. I feel like it was like a big boom.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, restaurants were shutting down, clothing stores were shutting down, and excavation companies, they couldn't get their hands on enough equipment to stay up with the demand of work.
Yeah.
And like you didn't even have to be active. Like people were seeking out anyone that could do that type of work because they just wanted those projects done around their house.
Yep. A lot of people did.
Yeah.
A lot of people still do. So
yeah. Did you leverage that at all, like during COVID, and then coming out of that into 2021 when like things kind of get back to normal? Like, do you feel like you were farther ahead with your business after that?
I do. Like I said, I do a lot of my advertising. Plus, a lot of it's word of mouth now. Just trying to get my name out there and having people, call me and friends of friends and everything else. But yeah, I think it helped me out afterwards.
Yeah, I can completely see that from that point of view. And when did you start? Because you got 2 employees now that work with you.
Yes.
When did you hire your first one?
I guess probably about 8 months ago.
Okay, so just
somewhere
end of 2022.
Yeah, I did hire some, people here and there if I needed them or whatever, but I was trying to, save every penny I could. But I got to where I can't run 3 pieces of equipment at the same time, so I had to do something. So
yeah. Was there like I don't know if you think of this or not, but like, was there like a moment when you're like, okay, I've got to stop fighting the fact that I need to hire somebody? Like walk me through that moment that you like, all right, it's time.
Well, just you get on a job or something and you're like, well, I could get on this machine or I could have somebody run this one and, get things done a little bit quicker. We could go on and move to the next job. I finally come to a point where I just said, hey, I got to hire somebody. There's no way around it. So, but it worked out.
Were you nervous about hiring somebody? Because now you had the livelihood of another family basically in your hands.
Yes, I was. And I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want to be, which I did. I hired a couple of good buddies of mine. So that kind of helps out too.
Did that increase the fear though? Because like, man, if this doesn't work out, like not only do I have to fire an employee, but I got to fire a buddy and he's got to figure out what to do.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of on the page that we know what's going on and anything can happen at any day. So
now that you have an employee, now you actually have 2 now, like, do you feel more comfortable running like a legitimate business? Cause now you've got other people doing work and leveraging their time.
Correct. Yes, I do.
Yeah. What was the growing?
It took a lot of stress.
Yeah. What was the growing pains that you felt like from the initial hire to feeling mediocrely comfortable having them on the team?
Well, I was just nervous about hiring an employee and I was nervous about hiring friends and stuff like that because I didn't know how it was going to work out. I didn't want nobody upset with me if I had to get rid of somebody or something like that. And like I said, it kind of worked out for everybody and we all get along great, everything.
Yeah.
So
did you have to change the way you approach jobs or the communication? Like as an owner, like you get to do an estimate, you see the project, you know what materials you need, you kind of know the steps you're going to take in it. And now you've got these other guys that you've got to get on the same page with you. Was that a difficult thing for you to like go, okay, I got to get a little more structure from the beginning to the end of a project, or did it just come naturally?
Yeah, not necessarily. I just go up there and, I'll do the job and figure out the materials I need. And then I'll just kind of tell them what I need done and how it needs to be done. And everybody is okay with it.
Nice. So 4 years, I did go take a look at your website. It's Jeremy's with an S, right? Jeremy'sExcavating.com. If anyone wants to go check it out. It's a really nice looking website. It's very informative. It talks about a lot of the services you have. It's good. You've got the form that people can fill out to contact you on every page.
Yep.
Your phone number is clickable. So on a mobile device, they can call right from it. Some really nice features in that website. Do you find that you get more calls for specific services, or is it still just a random crapshoot?
Everything's pretty much random. You never know what somebody's going to need. I do French drains, and I get calls about that, and then I get calls about demos, and just pretty much everything. I mean, somebody may want me to come take one tree out. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, got it. And is this where you envisioned, like back in 2019? Are you growing at the rate that you envisioned back then?
Yeah, I knew that I would eventually get a little bit bigger than what I was. It took me a little while to kind of realize that it just takes time.
It does.
Yeah.
And we come from a society, man, we want everything right now.
No, and that's what I was wanting. And I realized it ain't happening right now. We're just trying to grow and get there. Did you
ever, I always laugh whenever we talk about people wanting things right now, I think back. Did you ever watch the movie Almost Famous? I think it was back in like the late 90s, but it was basically this young kid in the 70s that was following a band, and he was writing a story on him for Rolling Stone. And then he gets caught in the band life and everything. But towards the end of the movie, the editor from Rolling Stone goes, "Hey, I need you to go down to this copy store and send me what you've got written." He's like, "Well, how am I going to send it to you?" And he's like, "Well, they have this thing called a fax machine." He's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Well, you put it in the machine and it sends it over to me, and you can send one page every 18 minutes. How fucking cool is that?" Like, they were excited about one page for every 18 minutes. And you just look at it now, like, man, we're 50 years later and we don't even want to wait 8 seconds.
Exactly. We're ready for it to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever I talk about things, it's a good reminder for me to go, we've come so far. Like, what's 10 seconds?
We have a long ways.
Yeah. Nice. So what services do you enjoy doing the most? Like the land clearing, the demo?
Something else? I like doing some land clearing, but I like the demos, the swimming pool demos, but I do also like going in from scratch and then making my stuff look excellent when I leave. So, I mean, it's just night and day compared to when we began to when we finish. So,
yeah, I just find that guys like you that you get a little bit of variety in all the type of calls you get. You're like, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. And you take pride in all that. But every now and then there's a service, like a type of work that you're like, sweet, I get to do that one again. I really enjoy doing it. So for you, that's pool tear outs?
Yeah, well, I like the house demos and stuff like that. I like that more than anything.
Do you? Now, down in your area, like here in Illinois, it's really hard to break into the demo industry because there's dedicated companies and they've got a processing plant. They're reusing the brick. They've got, and the rates at the dump are so much less expensive. Do you have that down where you're at, or is it a little bit?
No, it's different. Yeah, okay. We don't have none of that. Everything that we take out goes to a landfill.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. I mean, I guess they don't reuse anything. I mean, not on house demos and stuff.
Yeah. And then if somebody out there in another state was thinking about demo being the right thing for them, like what are a few things that you had to learn the hard way at the beginning? Like, was it utilities, permits?
The permits was a little difficult. Last time I went up there to get a permit, I was up there for about 5 hours trying to get a permit. Ooh. And it was just in and out. I had to go get this, go get that. And it was crazy. Yeah. Permits are the worst.
Yeah. And I find the permits really, the time frame to get them really depends on your relationship with the people in the office.
Correct.
I mean, they can make your life a living hell.
Oh, yes, they can, because they don't have to give you nothing.
Yeah. And then it's these people that go work 8 hours a day, go home and eat bonbons, watch TV, but at the office, they've got the power and man, they want to wield it sometimes.
Yep.
Oh man. So you talk about Facebook as kind of being your core marketing driver for getting phone calls and leads. Do you just simply post to your business page and share it on your personal page? Or is there anything that's worked well for you over the last few years with that approach?
I buy the ads. I'll pay for an ad to get sent out, and you can go in there and click your area you want to, service. And I usually stay, up from Little Rock, down south. I think it does like a 50-mile radius.
Okay.
And you can spend whatever you want to.
Have you found that what you write or the image you use makes a difference in how well it works?
Well, if you put a picture of the before and after, that's what I think people want to see. You can show the before and after, and maybe somebody else wants the same thing done or something. But I don't necessarily think it's just any picture. I mean, you could put anything on there. I could probably just put my logo on there or something, and you'd probably get something off of it.
Yeah. We have found, just like my own testing with ads for some excavation companies and working with other guys, that like you talked about, the before and afters are showing. We forget that the customer has a problem that we need to solve.
Yeah.
And a picture of your skid steer doesn't take them on the path of what their problem is to what they get when they hire you.
Exactly.
And I probably sound like a broken record because I think I talk about it on just about every episode, but like, you've got to take that customer on a journey from their problem to the solution and the outcome they get.
Yeah.
And those before and after photos are the easiest way to do it, because they're like, oh, I've got overgrown brush in my backyard, or I've got a dilapidated building in the back 40. And then when you show that, and then it's gone and cleaned and ready for whatever use, they can visualize their own property or their own project.
Yes.
So like, that's always a big thing for me, is like, when in doubt, use a good photo or photos that take them on a journey of a project. And then if you write, I always say problem, solution, outcome. What's the problem the customers have?
Yep.
What's the solution that you provide? And what's the outcome they can expect to get when they hire you?
Yep. Yeah, that's all correct.
Yeah. Cause then, I mean, it's, and I love that problem, solution, outcome strategy. And I find that if guys get it in their head, no matter what you're trying to advertise or what you're trying to do, you can tell a story.
Yes. Yeah, you can.
You don't have to start from scratch. You can think of any job you've done and you can write a story about it and use it for an ad or a post or a case study to hand to people.
You
can. And it's a very easy framework to minimize the stress of how to market, because let's be honest, you didn't come from a marketing background and it was all new to you.
No. Yes.
And, and I'm assuming you had a lot of stumbles and spent a lot of money on things that didn't work to figure out what did work.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A lot.
And until you go through some of that processes, like following that problem, solution, outcome, it just can minimize the downs, because people can always relate to it. Yeah. And then we talked about giving some advice to anyone looking to get started in a business. And I preach this. So when I read your answer, I got a big smile on my face. But like, you're like, make sure you know what you're doing, which is one thing. But then you follow that up with, if you don't know something, ask someone.
Yes.
I mean, I preach, find a mentor, get somebody that can guide you through the process. Who did you rely on in your journey?
Well, like I said, my buddy, which we're not working together anymore, but he taught me a lot. He did. He taught me. He was already in this for a couple of years. But he taught me everything I know now. There's some things that I've learned on my own, but a lot of it come from him, and he taught me a whole lot, because I was going in this in the blind. I didn't know what was going on. I was just trying something new.
Yeah. And do you feel like, looking back, without him, and if you just started this on your own and not had him as like a partner at the time, or like somebody you could learn from, do you feel you'd still be where you are today?
I think so. I have a pretty decent drive on me. If I didn't know, then I would figure it out, or I would find a way to, go put in a septic tank or something,
Yeah.
I mean, figure it out one way or another.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that like without him, like I think you'd still be in business, but is there a chance that we'd be at 2020, end of 2021, beginning of 2022 levels because it took longer to learn those lessons and you
It
wouldn't have the two
probably could have.
employees? Yeah. Like we
Yes.
just shrink
I
down
mean,
the time frame of success when we get outside
yes,
help.
probably so. Yes.
Yeah, like we talked to a guy in North Carolina, and he says what he did in the first 6 months of business would have taken him at least 18 months without having the guidance of the guy he leaned on.
Yeah. Yeah. It would take longer for sure.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the goal is to be as successful as possible as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if that's your goal, then I don't see a pride issue in asking for help from other people, in my opinion.
Oh no, no, I don't have no problem asking a question.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and I think I love that people get to hear that from other people that are out grinding and doing this work. Be like, it's okay not to know everything. It's not okay not to ask somebody for help.
Correct. Yes, it is. And some people, you get some of those guys out there that act like they know everything, and then they go out there and screw something up because they want you to think that they know or something.
Yeah, and like losing money is one aspect of that, but like the thing that you mentioned, which I don't know if you have any firsthand experience with it, but like if you do a project you've never done before and you're not sure how to do it, the risk and probability of yourself or somebody working with you getting injured increases drastically.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Have you had any issues like that throughout your journey yet, or you've been pretty safe?
Well, I tell the guys that safety is number one. I don't care about this equipment. Your life matters to me. So I try not to put them in any kind of harm's way or anything. And they know now kind of what's going on and what they need to do to keep everything safe.
Yeah. No, I agree. I find myself personally, like when I'm in a situation where it could get a little sketchy, like my gut will tell me like, this could get a little sideways. And my head's like, no, we got to get it done. And I'm like, trust your gut, man. Like, let's take back. Let's reassess.
I've been there.
Like, the gut's never wrong.
No, it's not.
Like if you're, and I don't care if you're talking about your wife, your kids, your business, whatever. Like if your head and your gut aren't in alignment, trust your gut.
Yes. That is it.
It's never wrong, man. It's never wrong. So is there a time in your journey over the last 4 years you did a project and like from start to finish, you're like, holy shit, this was perfect. This is exactly the way I want to keep duplicating to get my business to grow and get bigger. Like, did you have an aha moment?
Yes. Well, yeah, we just recently did a land clearing job and it turned out really amazing. From the root raking to, taking down every tree to slicking the whole place off and plus doing a house pad and everything. So it turned out really nice.
And was it just doing the actual work that went smooth, or was it like from the beginning of the process to the end that you're like, wow, this is how I need to make sure I plan other projects?
Yeah, it was pretty much the whole job. Some jobs go smooth and some jobs, they take a little longer. Something can happen. You may blow a hose or track fall off or anything.
Yeah.
So, but some jobs are smoother than others for sure.
No, that's so true. And then this is my favorite question to ask you guys. You get into this industry because you like doing the work. Like you like being in the machine. You like digging. You like the sound of the engine, all that stuff. And then you quickly realize, oh man, this is an actual business. And there's a lot of tasks that I have to do outside of the business. Like what tasks did you struggle with the most, or do you still struggle with, or that you just hate doing?
All the accounting stuff, all the getting all my tax stuff together. That's the only part that I really hate.
Yeah.
I don't like paying bills. My wife pays all the bills, so I don't ever do none of that. But the accounting part and trying to figure out where everything's going and this and that, that's the part I hate about everything on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are in that same boat where, myself included, like I hate bookkeeping and accounting.
Yes.
If I got to do more than 10 minutes of it, I'm not in a good mood.
Yep. That's me.
Yeah. I don't know if we're just wired where our brains are always running and to sit down and stare at those numbers, just monotonous or what it is. But I found that I ask better questions. Like, like for instance, all my receipts, I'm like, how do I find a way to like make this as quickly as possible? Right. So I found an app that links into my QuickBooks, and I just take a photo of it. And I think QuickBooks app, actually, you can take photos of it.
See, that's what I'm on is QuickBooks.
Yeah. But I think if you have the app on your phone, you can just snap photos of all those receipts and then you can throw them away. So like, to me, that was a big time saver, because now I don't have a filing cabinet of 700 receipts from the year. And you look at that and you got a 9-hour project to organize them for the accountant. And you're like, oh God. So like now it's all in there. They're just in a file. Once a week, once a month, kind of like, all right, this was fuel, this was materials, this was advertising. And it just kind of makes that process towards the end a little bit smoother. And then it's the best money I spend, but I hired a really, really good bookkeeper. Yeah. Because paying that additional money to make sure that it's done right and I don't have to worry about it is worth the peace of mind. And I never have that feeling in the back of my head, like, oh God, I got to do accounting after I get off this task that I'm doing today. Is there anything in your business that you have outsourced to either, like your wife pays your bills? Technically, that's kind of outsourcing. But is there any other areas of your business that you look at and you're like, I need somebody else to do this? Or is it just the accounting?
I get someone to do all my hauling. I don't have a dump truck. I thought about buying one, but I heard they're very expensive. I got a couple of buddies down here that's got dump trucks, and they've spent a lot of money, shit ton of money on it. And I just didn't want that liability. Yeah. So I just outsourced that. So subcontract for me on my hauling and stuff.
Does that work well for you? Do you have any issues with that?
Yes. No.
So like they're reliable, and like when they say they're going to be there, they're there. Because that's the biggest concern with subcontracting is how reliable is the sub.
Yeah, I've been really good friends with for sure 2 of them, actually 3 of them that I call. I got 3 different companies that I can call and get anything I need. Usually they're right on it whenever I call them.
Very nice, very nice. So you intend to continue doing that subcontracting?
I don't necessarily say that. I'd like to have a dump truck, just for myself, just for like the demos and my own hauling and stuff, because I know I could save a lot of money. Yeah. But right now, I didn't want the overhead, and I didn't want the liability of breakdowns and, this and that. Then I'll have to hire another driver and everything else.
Right. I know a couple of guys that I've talked to the last few months, instead of going the dump truck route, they just went for that massive, God, I'm losing my mind today, the fifth wheel style gooseneck. Sorry, there it is. The gooseneck dump trailers that are like 24 foot long.
Yeah. See, I got a 16
F-350s.
Yeah, I got a 16-foot dump trailer, and that's basically where I started at before this. I was hauling rock SB2 every day. I did that for about a year, and I've had it ever since, which we ended up with 2 of them now. But I'd like to eventually get me a bigger one, or, a dump truck one. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So where do you see Jeremy's excavating in 2025, 2028?
Hopefully bigger than what it is now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Like how much bigger? Like what? Like if you closed your eyes and you're looking back at 2025 at the journey and how you got to where you are, like what's it look like?
I would hope I would double the size at least.
Okay. So 4 or 5 employees on your team plus yourself.
That would be enough for me.
A couple more pieces of equipment, and then is that kind of like, is that the level you want to hit?
Not necessarily. I would like to get a lot bigger than that.
Okay.
But by 25 or 26, I would hope to have maybe 4 employees and a few more pieces of equipment, a couple more trucks.
Yeah, I love it, man. Your kids, are they both girls? Is that?
No, I have a girl. My daughter's 16 and my son is 15.
Your son's 15. How's your son like the excavating business, or does he have no interest in it?
He's into basketball.
Yeah.
I've tried to get him to go out there and help me, and he flipped my skid steer over one day. So
I think they do that shit on purpose, so you don't ask him to do it.
I think so. I think so, because he is that type too.
Yeah. It's like when my mom told me to do my laundry myself, and I made sure to mess it up so she quit asking me to do my own laundry.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. So he may or may not have an interest in the future, but currently it's not like something that he's drawn to.
I think my daughter's more interested than my son is.
Oh, no kidding.
She works with her grandpa, mowing yards, building fences, and they take down like little small sheds. They do everything by hand though.
Mm-hmm. And she's doing that like on a regular basis with them?
Every day during the summer, she's working.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Are you any intentions of putting her in a machine next year or two?
Yes, she wanted to try to learn, but I told her, I said, you can't leave your grandpa stranded. You know what I mean? He don't need to be by himself. He's the older guy.
Yeah.
So.
That's so cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Somebody's listening to this podcast. They're either just bought a piece of equipment or they're on the brink of buying equipment and doing exactly what you did in 2019. What's the best advice you can give them?
Go with it. Don't look back. You already bought it. It's gonna be hard to try to sell it. So you got to put that thing to work to make some money. Just advertise, and I mean, if you got to go door to door, throw out some cards, do whatever you got to do to try to bring in some income.
Yeah. So hustle.
You hustle. Yes. And then whenever I was on the verge of quitting my job, I had a buddy that stepped out and went on his own. He's an electrician now. And he said, your biggest fear is going to be, you got to jump. He said, you can't think about it. He said, you just got to go. He said, if you think about it, you're not going to do it. And he was right. It was scary. Very scary.
I call that burning the boats.
Mm-hmm.
So like Cortez dropped his troops off. I don't remember what country they were going to take the land over. And when they got there, he burned all the ships they floated over on. And the whole army's like, what are you doing? He's like, you either survive and we win or you die.
Yeah.
But we're not retreating.
Nope.
We're not retreating. So like those guys that are like, well, I still work full time and I do this on the weekends. And I'm like, I always think if you're 50 to 70% comfortable with the income you're getting, just make the jump because you will leapfrog.
Well, that's exactly where I was. I was making more money in a weekend than I was, a week or two at work.
Was it a quick decision for you or did it take some time to really?
It took a few months, actually. I wanted to do it. My wife, she was nervous. She was like, I don't know if we need to do this, right now, but it's worked well ever since, and I tell myself all the time it'd be a cold day in hell before I go back and work for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I got freedom now and I don't have to listen to, the customers and stuff, but if I want to take off a day, I take off a day.
Yeah. What has that freedom done for your personal life? Like, do you feel you have a better relationship?
Yes. It's a lot less stress. It's, all the way around, it's better.
Yeah. Now I know there's a lot of guys out there right now going bullshit. It's more stress, but
well, it is stressful. Like on the job situation, making sure you have income, stuff like that. But still, if I want to go up to the lake or something, it kind of ease your mind a little bit anyway.
Yeah. Do you do a good job of separating work from time to time so that you're present with the family or for yourself to go do some hobbies you enjoy doing?
No.
No.
It's summertime and this is the time you got to grind.
Yep. But like, what about when October, November hits and things don't stop?
I'll slow down a little bit then.
Yeah. Does your mind slow down though?
No, I'm usually up and doing something. I'm usually outside 24/7 if I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh man, we've kind of went over your journey and how you got to where you're at, your goals for where you want to go. We've talked a little bit about your personal life, the jobs you really enjoy doing, the marketing that's worked for you, finding people to fill in tasks that you hate doing, which I think is key to grow a good business.
Yep.
But anything else that's on your mind?
I mean, I'm good.
You're good?
I mean, I don't really have a lot of anything else on my mind. I was just talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What's the next piece of equipment you're looking to add to the fleet?
I was debating on a mulcher head, which I got a dozer, skid steer, and excavator. But I'd actually like to have a bigger excavator. I'd like to get me about a 230 or something like that.
Okay. Do you just find that you're getting some work that you're stressing and taxing out your current excavator?
Yes.
And you did that at the beginning too, because you started with a mini and had to go up.
Yes.
For the same reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you keep the one you currently have for transportation and smaller jobs? Okay.
Correct.
So
I would.
You just want to add another excavator to the fleet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. There's a few jobs that I could use it on. So.
Yeah, but there's a lot of jobs you could continue to use your smaller one on.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Are you able to break your crew up, or do all three of you have to work on the same job? Like, could you go do two or three small jobs separately?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a few times I have. A lot of times I try to stick together because you get one job done a little bit quicker, or something like that. But I have put all three of us somewhere.
Yeah. Do you find that you guys all kind of address the project in a similar manner from start to finish? And did you focus on that as a priority, or did it just organically happen?
It kind of just happened. I mean, we know it needs to look good, and when we leave, it needs to be what the customer wants.
Very nice. I think there's a lot of guys out there that struggle with that with the employees, and I always tell them it's your hiring process.
Yes.
Like, you're so worried about finding somebody with experience that you don't find somebody with the same care that you have for the customer.
Exactly. And I can see that in some people, but we all, like I said, we get along great. Whatever I ask them to do, they do it. They don't say nothing about it. We may have different opinions on things of, maybe we could do it this way and it'll be a little bit easier, or it'll look a little bit better. And I'm all ears for everything. So
yeah, I find that does two things. One, you could possibly learn something and you go, man, shit, he's right. And then two, if you give them the ability to be heard, they're just part of the team, man. Like, you're building your own little community, and they have more buy-in in the company.
Yes.
Nobody likes to be micromanaged 24/7.
Oh, no. And I don't do that. And I'm very lenient on anything. I usually don't say nothing about nothing.
Yeah.
But they're usually careful and do a good job.
Yeah. You hear some of these owners, they grow their business. Like, we'll talk and I'll be like, why did you leave your last job to start your business? And it always goes back to the owner or the boss. And then I'm like, well, why are you becoming that guy? And they're like, you just see their eyes go, holy shit, I am. I'm like, you're creating the same environment you left, and then you're mad these guys don't stay.
You're exactly
you've
right.
got to break the cycle, and you've got to be aware of it and do it differently than the way you were trained as an employee when you work for somebody else.
Yes. And I've been in that situation and I don't like it.
Right. But again, if you started acting that way and your guys left, then you would blame the guys and it's their fault. They suck at work. And then we don't ever look at ourselves, man.
I know.
We got to break the cycle.
There's somebody always to blame.
Yeah. I read a book by Jocko Willink, and it's called Extreme Ownership. And it literally says anything your team member does was your responsibility. And that extreme ownership allows me, extreme ownership allows me to have much better conversations with my team and take losses and failures and turn them into learning experiences. Like, we had one where she typed in the wrong numbers on a shipping bill, and the shipping cost went from $350 to $2,200. And I mean, it was like, whoa. It wasn't like a small mistake. Like, that whole process of the sale and everything, like, cost us money for this guy to get his equipment, like a lot of money for that one.
Yeah.
But instead of getting angry and like, shit, she wrote 10 instead of 100, right? For inches.
Yeah.
Anyone could happen. So how do we fix this? Like, what did I not provide her with a checklist or a double check system?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't build a system good enough to catch that error. And now I can adjust the problem and I can work with her, and she's not on pins and needles because I'm yelling at her.
Yes.
And it just, that little bit of approach of like, whenever something wrong happens, it's my fault.
Yes.
But then I also say, whenever something great happens, it's because of them. Because they're the ones doing the work. And it's exactly, it's a conflicting mindset. And it took me it doesn't happen overnight.
Yes.
But what worked for me was, like, when I would get angry, just take a breath. I'd turn off the Zoom call. I'd walk out of the meeting, whatever it was, and say, give me 5. And then come back and say, okay, how do we address this? What's the problem? How do we go from there? Like, in my 20s, when I owned businesses, I was the hothead that when the emotion hit, the words came out of the mouth. Yeah. It was never good for anybody, including myself.
Yes.
So I think that's probably my biggest advice for these, like, for guys coming up, is just like, always make sure you make decisions with a level head. It's okay to sleep on it.
Oh, yes.
Like, it's okay to sleep, and it's definitely okay to tell a customer no.
Yes. And I have plenty, because never know, they might want you to do something crazy or drastic, and I don't mind telling them no, or you can try to see if somebody else will do it.
Yeah. like every customer isn't yours. Like you're not a good fit for everybody.
Exactly.
And the
Yes,
faster you learn
you're
that
right.
lesson, the more you can grow your business and find customers that are a good fit for you. Like if you're
Yes.
if you're always worried about the check clearing the bank when you finish a job, like you're probably not working with the right customers.
Yeah, exactly. You're right there.
You know, like what's my approach? Why am I attracting all these people? How do I change that? So, well, good deal, man. Jeremy, I can't thank you enough for jumping on today and being a part of the show. I like that. My takeaway from today is like you're very level headed. You don't make drastic decisions. Incremental small growth is the plan. It's sustainable. Yes. And if you keep doing it day in and day out, you're going to reach the long-term goal probably sooner than you would if you tried to reach for it sooner.
Yes.
You know, treat everybody kind, give them the benefit of the doubt, ask for help, and find an avenue for marketing that works for you and your business in your area and stay with it.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of great advice that you gave to the listeners out there today. I really like your approach to how you started and grew your business. And I can't thank you enough again for coming on the show and sharing your experience and stories with us today.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Listeners out there, if you like Jeremy's story and you want to be on that same track and you want to see that incremental growth that you can literally build a sustainable business from, you're not sure how to do it, head over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. Groundbreakinggrowth.com is a division of Skid Steer Nation. It is where I work with excavation company owners to help you structure, systemize, increase your profits, and develop a culture for you to be able to grow and build a team over time. We have a 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like it, it's not very expensive in the grand scheme of what you guys spend on equipment. And you work with me directly. There's no other team members that you're going to deal with. There's not a guy out there that thinks he knows business strategies and success. You work with me directly. Groundbreakinggrowth.com. If you like what you see, fill out the form. You'll have a call with me and we can move forward and see if I'm a good fit for you. So until the next episode, guys, thanks for checking out the Skid Steer Nation podcast. And Jeremy, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.